Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk a little bit today about scratch building and how I go about doing it and trying to get things in scale and making scratch built models look right, so they look, comparable to, say, like this is a 125 scale Monaco kit. So when we go to scratch build this mini pumper, we want it to look relatively, in scale. So what I always do is start by just roughing out a picture of what I want and deciding from there how big things should be, how long things should be. And this is just a hand drawing, and the only things that are actually correct, like right now, is the cab height and the body width of the cab. And from that, I take off and figure out the wheelbase that I want, and I do that by just basically using my my cutting mat here, because we got 1-inch squares. I lined up the front wheel on this square, and we came back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. Okay, that's going to be my wheelbase. Now if I take this car and I set it on the same line, and I take my dial calipers and line them up with that line right there and come back, we see that we are 4 inches 670 thousandths long. So roughly almost 4.7. So this would be our wheelbase on our truck. And of course, trucks are longer, and that doesn't seem to be too far out of the question. And then where I come up with my cab height is, because this has like a crown on it, I take my caliper, use the depth gauge on it, and I set it on the mat. I'm trying to do this one-handed, and just bring it down till it touches the center of that cab. Okay, and that's where I come up with the 2 inches 220 thousandths. And then for the width, I have to measure the widest part of this body, which is right down here. You can see how it cups out, because we don't want the back fenders of the mini pumper body to extend past that. But if they do, we want to keep it relative, so maybe only 1/8 of an inch on the side or something. So the width of my cab is 3 inches 118 thousandths. So I want to try to make the width of this body maximum, no more than 3.200, just to kind of round things off. And our overall length, I want it to be 10.5 inches long. So let me move some of this out of the way. So I've got a mark right here on my table, and we know our wheelbase is 7. So we start here at the very front bumper. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half. Okay, so that would be the actual end of the tailboard, which would be this piece right here. Now I've got a couple examples of what I'm talking about right here. And these are fairly close. Here's your wheelbase, and then your overall length would go from the bumper all the way to the back of this tailboard. So you see we got a pretty generous area back here. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here with this. Now, back to the bed that we're going to be scratch building is I kind of, just guesstimate. I want my pump panel 1.25 inches wide from here back to here. And then we will figure out the rest of the dimensions from that back to here, which is the end of our tailboard. And I done an overhead view. Here's your cab. Here's the pump panel, the width of it, and then the body back here. We'll make walls on each side of it, so the cabinets, these cabinets will actually have stowage in them. And I make little notes on here where I want tread plate on that wall, on facing, and a little piece of tread plate on the top and bottom of the pump panels walls. And then I will just transfer these onto some sheet styrene. For this build, I'm just going to use 40 thousandths thick. It's easy to cut, easy to manipulate, easy to sand if you get things too far out of scale or whatever. But I think that gives us a good starting point. And again, we'll go back up here. This is a Dodge. Let's see. I had two other ones here. This one's a Chevrolet, but the body is what we're going for here. You got the pump panel sides, and then the body of it. Again, you have a pretty nice overhang back here. So they were all, relatively the same, no matter what cab you use. And again, this one's got our same wheels on it, but these are painted red. So I just wanted to give a quick little talk about, that and how I actually start a build. And I will transfer these drawings onto the styrene, and then I'll just start cutting them out and holding things up, see if they look right. And if they don't, I start over, and I just go from there. I want the body to be the same height as the top of the cab, like we have here. We don't extend above the top of the cab. This is your hose reel up here. So it's really not hard to scratch build something if you just take some time, draw a picture, and then know what your dimensions are from the kit that you're using to give you a good starting point. And you just go from there, and always use your built models that are to scale. If I was going to make a mini pumper, I wouldn't want the wheelbase of this truck to be way back here or way up here. That just wouldn't look right. So you have to have things relative, so to speak, to what you're trying to do. And I believe that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about is, get your true dimensions, figure out, how long you want to make it, what your wheelbase is going to be, and you know your maximum widths and lengths and heights that you want to build, and just go off a little picture. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna put this phone down, turn the camera off, and I'm gonna start cutting out some styrene, and we'll see how it goes. And I will see you in the next video.